Sit next to the sound ladies.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Borough President James Otto, welcome to Staten Island's annual September 11th Memorial Ceremony. I'm Deputy Borough President Ed Burke. This evening, as in the last 18 years, we gather as a community, as a family, to remember those we tragically lost on September 11th, 2001. We join together to honor the first responders who gave their lives by heroically toiling in and around Ground Zero in those fateful days and months after that terrible day. Together with the backdrop of this beautiful postcards memorial, we remember and reflect. I'd like to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please stand for the processional led by the Staten Island Pipers and the presentation of colors by the United States Coast Guard Sector New York and the United States Army Northeast Medical Area Readiness Support Group Fort Wadsworth Color Guard Team, followed by the national anthem sung by Arlette Roxburgh.
Present up! Present up!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets running, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave
this time, I would like to ask Bishop John O'Hara to offer this evening's invocation.
Once again, we gather in this holy place, this sacred place, to honor and remember those who were taken from us so suddenly, unjustly, and tragically on that terrible morning, September 11th, 2001. Soon we shall hear the litany of the names of those we love. And as those names resound through this space, we'll see their faces, hear their voices, remember their warmth, their smile. In the midst of the tears, the good times, the goodness of their lives, the gifts and talents that were uniquely theirs, the blessings they brought to all of us, to all in our community, our city, our state, and our nation. There's a void in our hearts that can never be filled, in our hearts and in our homes. The heartache, the pain, which never goes away. For those who went to work that day and never returned home, for those heroic first responders, we know them. They're friends of ours, our neighbors, our firefighters, police, and emergency service personnel. Without any hesitation, they answered the call, rose to the challenge. Valiant heroes all who laid it on the line for you and for everyone, who sacrificed their lives while trying to rescue others. And yes, those who in the intervening 18 years have been taken from us because they rushed in to do something great, to save lives that are special, gifted, precious, placing themselves in harm's way, freely giving of themselves, pouring themselves out, and contracting those illnesses that sped them out of our midst. We honor them. We hold dear their memory. We're inspired by their courage, dedication, and that uncommon valor that is so much a part of our national heritage. We treasure the memory of their presence. Be with us, Lord, at this moment, in this place, this day, and always. Walk with us as we move forward in the richness of our diversity, ever aware that there is strength in that diversity that can create a powerful expression of unity here on the island, in this city, in this state, and around the nation, and indeed around the world. In the midst of our tears, ease our pain with your healing love. May we know your presence in our struggles as we face the difficulties and challenges of life. In a world that has become ever more turbulent, divisive, and violent, make us vessels of your presence and instruments of your peace, that good might be victorious over evil, that life may triumph over death, light overwhelm darkness, and love conquer hate. You, Lord, are the Lord of life, of goodness and love. You strengthen us when we are weak and raise us when we fall. And you free us from the darkness of death and lift us to life eternal. Therefore, we again with confidence commend those taken from us to your care. Embrace them. And until we meet again in that dwelling place of light, happiness, and peace, hold each and every one of them and each and every one of us in the palm of your hand. Amen.
Right.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thanks. Nice to see you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks so much.
Please be seated. Before continuing with our program, I would like to welcome, on behalf of Borough President Otto, some notable guests who joined us here this evening in order of their seats on the stage. Of course, Borough President James Otto, Mayor Bill de Blasio, New York State Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, Attorney General Tish James, City Council Speaker Corey Johnson. Unfortunately, City Controller Scott Stringer is not able to attend. He's in the hospital, at the hospital with his mom. Public Advocate Jumani Williams. On behalf of Congressman Max Rose, who is in Washington, D.C., District Director Kevin Elkins, District Attorney Michael McMahon, Deputy Sector Commander Captain Jason Tama, United States Coast Guard, Sector New York, Colonel Stephen Gandia, Commander, U.S. Army, Northeast Medical Area Readiness Support Group, Fort Wadsworth, Andrew Parisi, Deputy Commander, U.S. Army, Northeast Medical Area Readiness Support Group, Andrew Parisi, Lynn Patton, Department of Housing and Urban Development, representing President Trump, Assemblyman Michael Cusick, Senator Andrew Lanza, Senator Diane Savino, Assistant Chief Kenneth Corey, NYPD, Deputy Chief Scott Henderson, NYPD, Chief of Department John Sudnick, FDNY, Staten Island Borough Commander Chief Kevin Woods, FDNY, Assemblywoman Nicole Maliatakis, Assemblyman Charles Fall, Assemblyman Michael Riley, Bishop John O'Hara, Vicar, Staten Island, Assistant Chief Richard Howe, FDNY, Deputy Chief Commander Brian Gorman, FDNY, Deputy Inspector Isa Abassi, NYPD, Councilman Steve Matteo, Councilman Joe Borelli, Councilwoman Debbie Rose, Bishop Victor Brown, Mount Sinai United Christian Church, Captain Bruce Soprano, NYPD, Captain Timothy Wilson, NYPD, Deputy Inspector Melissa Egger, NYPD, Masasuke Sono, designer of the Postcards Memorial, Iman Tahir, Albanian Islamic Cultural Center of Staten Island, Matt Tatone, surrogate court judge, Edwina Martin, public administrator, Bill Aminiera, director, EMS, Richmond University Medical Center, former Assemblyman Lou Tobacco. Thank you all for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the promenade as we welcome Reverend Timothy Mercaldo and Gabriel Tester, who will sing the prayer.
So as I do each year, this is I think there was 1 year that we did not do this song together here. And I want to thank the Borough President for inviting us to do this. This is a very special thing for us, and I hope for all who listen. But not because of us, and not because of the song, but because of the God of which this song speaks. Now, I know many of you who are on the dais to one degree or another, and I want to thank you as a Staten Islander all my life for your service in New York City as well as in Staten Island. My daughter was born on Staten Island. I have 4 daughters. Gabi is my second daughter. But the thing that I like to do before we sing this each year, at least in the previous years and then this year also, is to read to you what I believe has become embraced by most as the Bible verse of 9/11. And it happens to be Psalm 91:1. It's interesting that this verse would be so applicable. And here it is. The one who lives under the protection of the Most High dwells in the shadow of the Almighty. And even those that lost their lives on that fateful day dwelled in the shadow of the Almighty, because he is sovereign over all things, even in tragedy. And I pray that those of you who continue to live with the sorrow of this loss, that you will live under the shadow of the Almighty. And we offer this song that has become such a beautiful application at this event each year, the prayer.
us be her prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place and guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be safe.
Lunch came to dawn,
I pray we'll find your light
holding restaurant.
and watch us where we go.
We gonna dance
When stars go out each night.
turn a stellar swing. Never me break
Let this be our prayer.
wonder fitted chain.
We shall
Lead us to a place.
guide us with your grace and give us faith so we'll
Be safe. So no one knows sense of you depends on. One will need just these days, but who knew her be so we'll be safe. And I'm I access so
Thank you, Reverend Macaldo and Gabrielle. Beautiful, beautiful job. It is now my privilege to introduce our Borough President, James Otto.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of everyone up here on the dais, let me thank you for allowing us yet again to share this evening with you. It's hard to think that it's been a year since we were last here. Can't possibly fathom it's been 18 years. But we all endeavor to make this ceremony appropriate and respectful and worthy of your loved ones. And I hope you feel that we achieved that at the conclusion of tonight. A few months ago, like tens of millions of other Americans, I was in my version of my man cave, my hands damp with anticipation, anxiously and intently focused on my television set, watching the conclusion of HBO's mega hit series, Game of Thrones. I will try not to leak any spoilers for those of you who plan to binge watch it at some point. In that concluding episode, we finally reached the finale's climactic scene in which the character Tyrion Lannister utters these words. What unites people? Armies, gold, flags, stories. There's nothing in the world more powerful than a good story. Nothing can stop it. No enemy can defeat it. Story. There it is again, I thought. Tyrion's words about the power of story rang familiar because the concept of story was one that seemed to come up repeatedly in the books that I had been reading. I had recently finished Beth Comstock's Imagine It Forward. Beth rose to become the #2 person at General Electric and was a premier advocate for corporate storytelling. She says behind every person, behind every company, behind everything, there's a story of how it got there, and the most relevant connect on a personal level. Steve Schmidt, shaved head, tough jaw, political operative, best known for running John McCain's 2008 presidential campaign, once counseled a client, pick a simple story and tell it again and again and again. Story. In his book, If I Understood You, Would I Have This Look on My Face? Legendary actor, director, and best-selling author Alan Alda writes, if we are looking for a way to bring emotion to someone, a story is the perfect vehicle. We cannot resist stories. We crave them. Alda tells of Don Hewitt, the creator of the television show 60 Minutes, who when approached by producers attempting convoluted pitches of segments they wanted on the air, would put up his hand to stop them and say 4 words, tell me a story. But it is what happens when we hear stories that brings us back to tonight. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio calls stories the fundamental way in which the brain organizes information in a practical and memorable manner. Neuroscientist Yuri Hassan tells us, when you tell me a story, our brains get coupled in a very real way. Researcher Marco Icabelli says, when someone else is suffering or experiencing pain, mirror neurons in the brain help us to read his or her facial expressions and make us viscerally feel the suffering or the pain of that person. This is the foundation of empathy, understanding what another person is feeling.
He's having a seizure, Jim.
Can we get EMS? Thank you, folks, for doing what you do. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a round of applause? It's what they do every day. Amazingly enough, that happened when I was talking about empathy. This is the foundation of empathy, understanding what another person is feeling. Is that not why we are here tonight, gathered as one community? Arthur Brooks, in his book, Love Your Enemies, also affirms the power of story. He tells us that when we hear stories that move us, Our brains release oxytocin, inducing a deep emotional understanding. Brooks writes, the change in oxytocin predicates the feeling of empathy. It's empathy that makes us connect to other people. It's empathy that makes us want to help other people. Isn't that why we are here tonight? Tonight is about story and individual stories. Yes, our gathering is about the story of 9/11 and its aftermath, the tragedy, the horror, the sacrifice, the heroism, the loss, the pain. But it is about much more. It is about retelling the stories of the individuals lost on that horrific day and from it, the stories of their lives before that day, the stories of the weddings and the days down the shore, the graduations and the birthday parties, the dopey arguments you would look back on later and could laugh about, and those times of seemingly uncontrolled giggling and belly laughs, the moments in the delivery room and those awkward first encounters, the tantrums in aisle 5 in the supermarket, and the Friday night pizzas at Lee's, the stories of love, of pride, of family, and of the many ways you reveled in those happy moments and how you were there for each other during those challenging times, the broken fingers and the broken hearts, the baptisms and the bachelor parties, the breakthroughs and the breakdowns. As you sit here tonight listening to the songs and the consoling words of the other speakers, and as the names are read aloud, tell yourself a few of those stories. Come up to me after the ceremony and tell me your favorite story of your loved one. Share one with the mayor. Smile as you recount one with Attorney General Tish James. Tell Senator Lanza, whose own boy, AJ, is making baseball memories, your own Little League story. Shed a tear with Lieutenant Governor Hochul as you share a moment that needs to be said aloud. Senator Savino has a great laugh. Tell her a story that will make you both do so heartily. Let the oxytocin rush strong. Let us be enveloped by empathy. Let's laugh and cry and console each other yet again. Let's allow story to help carry some of tonight's burden while renewing us and keeping us strong. Those of us who did not lose someone on this day 18 years ago and subsequently from their heroism on that day will do as the poet Walt Whitman wrote, I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person. Allow us to do that for you tonight. One last thought on story. The 9/11 ceremony at Postcards is the most solemn event on the Borough Hall calendar each and every year. My team and I have embraced the mantle of being temporary stewards of this event, and we are committed to making each year's memorial worthy of your loved ones. To us, that means spending the intervening 12 months between the annual event envisioning and planning the ceremony in painstaking detail. For me, that means searching for words that I can mold and utilize in hopes that my time at this microphone might reach you emotionally and offer you a measure of comfort. I came across this bit several months ago and immediately thought of this day, this ceremony, and this moment. In Roman times, a punishment worse than death for a criminal was damnatio memoria, or condemnation of memory, in which all traces of the person would be expunged down to chipping their faces off statues. Chipping their faces off statues. It struck me immediately how with Postcards, Masa Ona's remarkable design and the physical embodiment of former Borough President Molinaro's passion to properly honor your loved ones. Well, it struck me how Staten Island has done just the opposite. We have literally carved the faces of our angels into a statue of sorts in order to ensure they will always be remembered, to ensure their stories are always told. And finally, for the last few years, I've taken a day in the late summer to hop in my Jeep and head upstate with my thoughts on a notepad as I attempted to craft the words I eventually share with you on this night. A couple of months ago, I did just that. And with today's technology, when I'm in my beloved Jeep, I'm usually listening to satellite radio or a podcast from my iPhone. Apparently, CDs are so passé. But I inadvertently hit the CD button, and on came a CD that was in there probably since before my hair was this gray. And that unmistakable voice of Bruce Springsteen bellowed from the Jeep. I was greeted by The Rising, the album he wrote inspired by 9/11 and its aftermath. And it is the chorus of the song Into the Fire I use as a concluding ode to you, your loved ones we lost, to your and their stories, which we will tell again and again and again, because as Tyrion said in that last Game of Thrones episode, there's nothing in the world more powerful, nothing can stop it, no enemy can defeat it. So, may your strength give us strength, may your faith give us faith, may your hope give us hope, may your love give us love. May your strength give us strength, may your faith give us faith, may your hope give us hope, may your love bring us love. God bless those that we have lost, and God bless all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, he's been here every postcards event since he has been mayor. He is the 109th mayor of the city of New York, my friend Bill de Blasio.
Every year, we hear Borough President Jimmy Otto speak from the heart, and he reminds us of how much good there is in the world, because he does this every year, and his whole team does this as a labor of love. They care so deeply. They care about everyone gathered here, every family member, every first responder. They do this to show that love and respect. And when Jimmy Otto speaks, you know it is 100% genuine. Let's thank him for all he does. Thank you to all the leaders, the clergy, the elected officials, but most especially thank you to all of you, the people who feel this day in a way that's the deepest, the most powerful, the most meaningful. We are here to support you. We're here to let you know that this city will always be here for you. And Jimmy's right about the power story, and I want to tell one of my own. Because for those of us who did not lose a family member, I think it's safe to say almost all of us lost someone. And one of the people in my life I'd only come to know a few months earlier, in the summer of 2001. And I was at a community gathering in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. And I met a wonderful couple, Marion and Dave Fontana. I got in a long conversation with Dave. Like Jimmy, someone fascinated by the history of this country, someone whose patriotism was so clear. In the course of the conversation, I came to find he was a member of the FDNY, and he served at Squad 1 in Park Slope. And in the days after 9/11, I came to hear what happened to him that day, that he had come off duty before the planes hit. He was on his way home to see his wife, and he got the call of something horrible, something shocking had happened, and he immediately went to ground zero. And he did what so many other good men and women, the FDNY and the NYPD and all the first responders did. He did not worry about whether he was on duty or off duty. He only thought of how he could save lives. And Dave Fontana did not come back that day. But the next part of the story is important as well. His wife, Marion, who hails from Staten Island, grew up here. She had to somehow make sense of this world without her husband. And she poured her heart and soul into the passionate work of supporting the families and being someone who worked on behalf of all the families. And she poured her heart and soul into supporting men and women of the FDNY. And a few years later, a firehouse was slated for closure in our community, Engine 204. And there was Marion helping to lead the charge to try and protect that firehouse and protect our whole community. And I tell you that story because, to me, every time we get to this day, I think of the loss of this good man. I think of his wife and his family who no longer see his smile and hear his laugh. But I also think of how that she turned her pain into love for everyone else. And I have seen that time and time again in such a powerful way. So many family members, so many mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and sons and daughters who have been there for everyone else. It doesn't make their pain any less deep. But they've honored the memory of the one they lost by reaching out a hand to all those others who are suffering. I've seen it time and again, and it is a reminder how many good people there are in this city, how many good people there are on this earth, and the strength and the resiliency of the families that are hurting to this very day. At Ground Zero today, I spoke to family after family, and every single one said the pain is still so sharp, but every single one was there for each other. And this is why this gathering is so important, because we can only heal together. We can only heal by listening to those stories, the way Jimmy said. Every time you tell the story, it does make you feel a little bit better. It does keep that memory alive. Every time you tell a story, someone else shares with you in that moment the appreciation and the memory of someone we wish was here with us right this minute. So this day is never, ever easy. And in some ways, we all look forward to it, to honor and respect, and in other ways, we all dread it because it brings the pain back. But what we need is this time together so we can keep healing. President Lincoln wrote after he lost his son, "Relief is not possible except with time." And 18 years later, I pray that each of you has felt some measure of relief, but I know it's not complete, and it probably never will be. But let's remember how people have remembered ever since, have cherished those memories. Let's remember how people have remembered to be there for each other. Every memorial I go to, I see that commitment. And I don't think that will ever change. I think we all know that for the rest of our lives, we have a mission to be there for each and every person who lost someone that day, to never let the memory go, to give of ourselves, because that's what everyone that we lost, that's what they would have done. And that's another way we keep them alive. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio. Now I'd like to welcome Margaret Maria Rivas, Poet Laureate of Staten Island, to read her original poem, Staten Island Night Chant, accompanied by Sanchi Bobrow on violin.
Staten Island Night Chant for Staten Island. Island made of red clay, island made of industrial dawn, island made of serpentine rock, island made of male sorrow, island made of female mourning. In autumn may you walk, in autumn may you shuffle leaves. In autumn may you pray, in autumn in the time of the sorrowful mother, may you behold a sky electric blue. In autumn may you not fear the sky or the plains, nor the germs, nor the smoke. Island made of finest blue, island made of bravest red, island made of secretaries, island made of bond traders, island made of poets, island made of sculptors. In autumn may you walk. At sunset may you walk the shore. At sunset, when you ride waves of grief, may they not pull you out too far from shore. May the salt not sting your face. Island made of oyster shells, island made of tall marsh grass, island made of verdant hills, island made of churches, island made of pipers' songs. In autumn may you walk. At midnight may you stroll beneath the sky dimmer now. May you not mind the helicopter's startle. May you not see the army fatigues. May you walk in ignorance of these. Island made of leaden air. Island of the 7 hills, may your feet lead you to the path of Moses Mountain. May you see the harvest moon rise above your sorrow. May you believe you will see it rise again above your memory. May your memory be dear. May your memories not cut you or your wife or your husband or your child. May they settle upon you like a harbor mist. Island made of sweet gum trees, island made of weeping willow, island made of maple trees, island made of oak. May your feet have the courage to move. May your feet have the courage to move. May your hands have the courage to work. May your heart have the courage to laugh. May your eyes have the courage to blink. Island of the dappled shade, island of the uniformed schoolgirls, island of the exuberant schoolboys, island of the ferryboat, island of the bridge, island of the fort, island of the empty helmet. May your tears salt the earth, the good island earth. May your tears water the earth, the good island earth. May spring shoots thrust from the hardened earth by virtue of your tears. May your tears produce wild violets. may you see the face of God in them. In goodness shall you walk. With courage shall you walk. By virtue's side shall you walk. In beauty it is finished. In light dazzling and perpetual it is finished. With love it is finished.
Thank you, Marguerite, for sharing that beautiful poem. I've been told that we've been joined by Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. Thank you, Borough President, for being with us. And we've also received a note on the condition of our two ROTC students who suffered from the heat, fainted. Their stable condition and being transported to Staten Island University North. The principal is with them, and the parents are being notified. So once again, thank to our first responders. Thank you so much for bringing them into care. At this time, I would like to introduce New York State Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good evening. It is a high honor for me to speak to you once again and to, first of all, thank our Borough President for creating this opportunity for us to gather and share our thoughts and, as he said, our stories. And for Ed Burke and his entire team, for all of you who worked so hard to make sure that, once again, this is a memorable experience. I also want to recognize the clergy who are among us here today and thank the bishops for reminding us of the ever-presence of God to help heal our wounds. And the many elected officials here, including my partner in state government, Attorney General Tish James, thank you for all coming here. As I was taking the ferry over just a few hours ago, it wasn't the same as taking a Jeep up to the country and listening to Bruce Springsteen, but I did have a few moments to reflect. And I thought about the fact that someone, somewhere, somehow came up with the phrase, Staten Island, the forgotten borough. And I was not fortunate enough to be born in this great place, but as I'm coming and approaching and seeing two visible symbols of what our country stands for within direct view of Staten Island, Lady Liberty in the harbor, a reminder of what we hold dear, embracing diversity, holding out our hands to others in need of help. And also the Freedom Tower as it rises up, a reminder that terrorists can try all they might, but they will never succeed in tearing us down. We will build back. Staten Island has those two treasures within its eyesight. So I would say, not the forgotten borough, but an unforgettable borough. But that's not simply because of physical monuments. It's because of the people here. Every single person is called to serve, has the opportunity to put on a uniform, whether it's in the military, firefighter, police officer, port authority, in any capacity. All of us have that opportunity. But why do the people of Staten Island respond to that call to be trained, put on a uniform, and take an oath to protect fellow human beings in higher proportions as they do here? There is such a high number of individuals who've done that, who've agreed that they'll put aside their own personal lives and be willing to run into danger. Now, no one expected what happened on that day 18 years ago. But more people in Staten Island were prepared to do whatever it took to protect their fellow human beings than anywhere else in this country. That's why this is an unforgettable borough. And that is going to be its new name going forward. And that is why we continue to gather here, because you never forget. These numbers never dwindle. I've been here every year since I've been lieutenant governor. the individuals, the family members. They wake up on this day, and I guarantee they wish it was September 12th so they could try to get on with their lives. But they don't forget, they show up. And I'm always in awe of the tremendous courage that it must take, because this experience, while we intend for it to be healing and create a sense of empathy and oneness and unity, without a doubt, it's a reminder also of the person who's not sitting here with you. I come here and I leave with a sense of being healed myself. That is the power of this event. And the mayor and I, with his wonderful words, he's been to many events as well, but there's something special about here. And I will close by saying, when I mentioned September 12th, sometimes I miss September 12th. You know why? Think about how we behave toward one another on September 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. When people took that ferry, they didn't look in the distance or look at their shoes and try to avoid human contact. People sought it. They looked into each other's eyes. They held hands with strangers. They gave a kind word to each other. They treat each other with humanity, not just here, but in subways and bus stops and grocery stores and airports all over America. We were so good and treated each other like we always should have. On that ferry today, I thought in 2012 or 2017 or 2019, over time, we lost that. And I think the best way to honor the names we're about to hear and whose names will forever honored on this beautiful tribute, the postcards memorial. Yes, we can see their names, we can hear their names. Well, why don't we live their names in how we treat each other? Why can't we regain that humanity? Why can't we leave here committed to go forth and share that experience? Because yes, we're in divided times in our nation, but now more than ever, it shouldn't have to take a terrorist attack to remind us that we live in the greatest nation on this planet. And we have virtues and values. The Statue of Liberty, the Freedom Tower, and so many others. That's what we stand for. So leave here replenished in the knowledge and security and belief that the next day could be better if we choose to make it that way. So to all of you in uniform, I pray for your safety, and those fighting terrorism abroad, we hope they come home soon. But I will leave this message to the families. This is no longer the forgotten borough. This is no longer a forgotten place. You have reminded us that your loved ones will be remembered and treasured forever. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I'd like to welcome back Arlette Roxburgh to sing her original song composition, One September Morning.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share a little piece of my heart with you today in the form of a song that I wrote in the weeks following the events of September 11, 2001. And it was a way, I guess, of documenting how I was feeling. And as the borough president was saying, it's kind of my story. So this song is my story, and I'd like to share it with you. On a bright September day, and I watched the sunshine slowly slip away, and I will crumble before my very eyes, and the smoke of 1,000 souls fill the skies. from the cities to the hills and countryside. I sing this song for you, America. Though your heart was torn in two, America, may your spirit never break, and may your faith never shake. Oh, my America. As the days went by, the sun came out again, and the stranger on the street became my friend. Joined together by pain and fear and pride, and a love for this land that could not be denied. And for the families of all the ones who died, I sing this song for you, America. Though your heart was torn in two, America, may your spirit never break, and may your faith never shake. Growing stronger than before, and I love you so much more, my America.
Thank you, Arlette, for that inspiring story and song. Thank you. Beautiful. At this point, now we would like to invite the family and friends gathered on the promenade to begin the tribute readings of those we lost on 9/11.
Terrence Andre Aiken, Peggy Jazicki Alario, Jacqueline Deline Aldridge Frederick, Police Officer Christopher Amoroso, PAPD, Laura Angeletta, Firefighter Faustino Apostel, Frank Thomas FT Aquilino, Firefighter Louis Arena, Adam P. Arias, Lieutenant Greg Atlas, FDNY, Louis Aversano, John J. Badaliaca, Jane Ellen Basler, Catherine Bantis, Walter Barron, Assistant Chief Gerard A. Jerry Barbara, FDNY, Paul Vincent Barbaro, Firefighter Arthur T. Barry, Diane Gail Barry, Carlton Bartels, Michael Ernest Beekman, Denise Lenore Benedetto, Firefighter John Patrick Bergen, Sandra Conady Brace, Kathleen A. Burns, Milton Gilberto Bustillo, firefighter Patrick D. Byrne, Lillian Casares, firefighter Salvatore B. Calabro, Philip V. Calcagno, firefighter Michael Camarata, Vincent A. Cangelosi, Lisa Bella Canava, firefighter Brian Canizaro, Louis Caparici, Mark Carney, Thomas J. Selleck, firefighter John G. Japura, Stephen Paul Chutnick, Francis A. Chelente, Susan Clancy Conlon, firefighter Michael J. Clark, Anthony Caldonato, John E. Jack Connolly, firefighter Robert J. Cordice, Ruben Carrera, firefighter Paul M. Byer, firefighter Brian Bilcher, firefighter Carl V. Beanie, Susan Bocchino, Mary Catherine Murphy Baffa, Sean E. Bowman Jr., Alfred J. Braca, and my husband, my love. It's very difficult to sum up in a few words the impact that a person has had on you and the part that they've played in your life. So I will paraphrase a favorite song and just say, I have lost my hero, I have lost my friend, but for you, darling, I would do it all again. Firefighter Greg J. Buck, Engine Company 201.
Francisco Cruz, Kenneth John Kubis, firefighter Thomas P. Cullen III, firefighter Robert Finn Curatolo, Lawrence D. Curia, Beverly L. Curry, Lieutenant Edward A. Dietri, FDNY, firefighter Michael D. D'Auria, Michael Jude D'Esposito, Thomas Damaskinos, firefighter Scott Matthew Davidson, firefighter Peter J. Carroll, firefighter Edward J. Day, Azucenza D. La Torre, James V. de Blasi, Jason Christopher DeFazio, Vito J. DeLeo, Michael DiRenzo, firefighter David P. DeRubio, Edward D. Simone III, Matthew Diaz, John DeFato, Donald J. DeFranco, Deborah Ann DiMartino, Stephen Patrick Domino, firefighter George D. Pasquale, Joseph D. Pilato, Neil Matthew Dolard, Joseph Michael Doyle, Felicia Dunn Jones, and my son, Carl DeFranco. My dear Carl, on this, the 18th anniversary of that horrible day, I just want you to know that you will always be missed and will remain in our hearts forever. Your niece Brianna is in her first year of college, and your nephew is driving. How quickly time goes by. You will never be forgotten. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all the first responders who are still suffering. God bless the United States of America.
Captain Martin Joseph Egan, Jr., FDNY. Carol Beth Eggert. Firefighter Frankie Esposito. Captain Michael A. Esposito, FDNY. Barbara G. Etzold. Battalion Chief Joseph Farrelly, FDNY. Rosa Feliciano, David Ferrugio, Louis Forsini Jr., Firefighter Michael C. Fiore, Stephen J. Fiorelli, Thomas Fisher, Sal Fumifredo, David Fodor, Lieutenant Michael N. Fodor, FDNY. Police Officer Donald A. Foreman, PAPD. Claudia A. Foster, Lieutenant Peter Louis Freund, FDNY. Clement Fumando, Diana Lynn Galante, Grace Suska Galante, and my brother, Captain John Fisher, FDNY. We thought of you today, but that is nothing new. We thought about you yesterday and days before that too. We think of you in silence and often speak your name. All we have are memories and your picture in a frame. Your memory is a keepsake from which we'll never part. God has you in his arms. We have you in our heart.
It's an honor to read these names. May they rest in peace. Cesar R. Garcia, Firefighter Gary Guidel, Firefighter James Giberson, Firefighter Jeffrey Giordano, Firefighter John J. Giordano, Martin Giovanazzo, Monica Goldstein, Firefighter James Michael Gray, Lorraine M. Green Lee, Joseph R. Grillo, Battalion Chief Joseph Grislock, FDNY, Lieutenant Joseph P. Gullickson, FDNY, Barbara M. Habib, Philip Heinzler, Stephen Michael Hages, Firefighter Sean S. Hanley, Firefighter Thomas P. Hanifin, Basilios G. Haramis, Francis Harros, Brian Hennessy, and my brothers, Lieutenant Harvey L. Harrell, FDNY Rescue 5, and Stephen Gary Harrell, FDNY Ladder 157, Engine 255. Steve was assigned to Engine 10, Ladder 10, also known as 10 House, on 9/11/2001. Harvey and Steve were very proud to be members of the FDNY. They loved their jobs and helping their fellow citizens of New York City. In the aftermath of September 11th, so many stories have been told, but it's the untold story that burns in my heart. They never came home to tell their story. I have talked to a lot of people over the years, and it took almost 18 years, but I found out that when Rescue 5 pulled up in front of those Twin Towers, my brother Harvey learned which tower Steve was in. He went in to find his little brother. When my brothers Dave and Steve were young and stayed out too late, Mom was worried. So Harvey, being the big brother, was sent out to find them and drag them home. I believe in my heart, Harvey went in, found Steve, but instead of coming home, they did what they were trained to do. They went in to rescue people and get them out safely. On this dreadful day, as the world stood still, my brave brothers knew exactly what to do. They saved so many lives that day, they sacrificed their own. My brothers were loved, and they will never be forgotten. To my brother Buddy and Steve, I thank God every day having you in my life. You were the best big brothers ever. You were yesterday's firemen, and now today's American heroes. May God hold you in the palm of his hands till we meet again. God bless our military, keep them safe and bring them home. God bless the firemen and police officers who are still protecting us. God bless America.
Thank you. Molly Mary Herencia, Firefighter John Holman, Stephen Howell, Officer Stephen Holsco, PAPD. Joseph A. Iannelli. Deputy Chief Charles L. Casper, FDNY. Firefighter Paul H. Keating. Firefighter Richard J. Kelly. Firefighter Thomas Kelly. Robert C. Kennedy. Howard Barry Kirschbaum. Stephen Snapper Knapp. Shakir Kamar. Firefighter Kenneth Humpel. Patricia A. Curris. James Patrick Ladley. Firefighter David LaForge. Vincent Anthony Leada. 18 years have gone by, and I'm remembering my Michelle, the smiling face that lit up a room. Like every people have been saying, memory is the only thing that they cannot take away from us. So we have to live through the memories and the stories that we know about our loved ones. I want to thank everyone that comes and participates every year and supports this, and never let them forget 9/11. 9/11 is a day, yes, but it's a day to remember all that was given in this world. And I want to thank the NYPD, the FDNY, the City of New York, and most of all, God bless America.
Firefighter Robert T. Lane, FDNY. Mary Lou Langley. Michelle B. Chamberlain Lanza. Stephen J. Loria. Janine Laverty. Police Officer James P. Leahy, NYPD. Firefighter Neil Levy, FDNY. Firefighter Daniel Libretti, FDNY. Vincent M. Lito. Lee Charles Ludwig. Marie Lucas. Linda Lezacone. Robert Lynch. Firefighter Joseph Maffio, FDNY. Lieutenant Charles Joseph Margiotta, FDNY. Lieutenant Paul Richard Martini, FDNY. Anne-Marie Martino Kramer. Firefighter Joseph A. Mascali, FDNY. My brother, Captain William E. McGinn, FDNY.
Mario Nardone Jr., Troy E. Nilsson, Brian Nunez, Captain William S. O'Keefe, FDNY, Philip Paul Obnigbini, Firefighter Joseph J. Ogren, Linda Mary Oliva, Eddie Oliver, Firefighter Eric Taub Olson, Firefighter Jeffrey James Olson, Firefighter Stephen Olson, Pablo Ortiz, Firefighter Jeffrey Palazzo, Alan N. Palumbo, Firefighter Paul Pansini, Crime Specialist Salvatore T. Papazzo, Sarah Marie Patty, Carl Adden B. Perlata, and our cousin, Firefighter Leonard J. Lenny Rags Regalia. He's in our heart. He's missed sharing so much this year. His two nephews were married. A new one was born. We would know he was watching over his little sister during her health crisis. He was an angel watching over her, over me last year as I suffered mine. You will be greatly missed. Never forget, that was a horrific day. We should never forget. It changed our lives. It changed the world forever. But I also agree, remember September 12th too. where we were respected, and we look forward to seeing our first responders, our police, our firemen, our EMTs. We were kind to one another. We were patriotic. That's the way Lenny was. He was a firefighter. We know he was brave. We know he was strong, but he was compassionate and kind. He lived like it was September 12th, and I plan to do the same. Thank you. Thank you.
Lieutenant Glenn C. Perry, FDNY. Danny Pesci. Mark James Petroselli. Lieutenant Philip Petty, FDNY. Nicholas Pietronti. Susan Pinto. Joseph Bernard Plumatalo. Wanda I. Prince. Eddie Pullis. Patricia Puma, Lieutenant Michael Quilty, FDNY, Eugene J. Raggio, Laura Marie Reginice Sneak, Peter Ramondi, Michelle M. Reed, Joseph Reyna Jr., Karen Renda, Firefighter Anthony Rodriguez, Fire Patrolman Keith Roma, FPNY, Lloyd Rosenberg, and my husband, Firefighter John A. Shard.
Michael Massaroli, Robert D. Matson, Walter A. Matuza, Charles J. Morrow, Charles A. Morrow, Jr., Firefighter John Kevin McAvoy, Scott McGovern, Stephanie Marie McKenna, Firefighter Timothy Patrick McSweeney, William E. Michiuli, Philip David Miller, Benny Millman, Louis J. Minervino, Lieutenant Paul Thomas Mitchell, FDNY, Richard Miuccio, Battalion Chief Louis J. Modafferi, FDNY, Firefighter Carl Molinaro, Kristen L. Montanaro, Firefighter Christopher Mazzillo, Peter James Mulligan, Richard T. Meyer. And just to echo what my cousin Eileen said, my cousin Lenny J. Regalia, we love you and we miss you.
Firefighter Nicholas P. Rosamondo, Firefighter Thomas E. Sabella, Joseph F. Sacadoti, Firefighter John August Santori, Angela Susan Scheinberg, Adriana V. Scapetta, Michael Seaman, Adele Christine Sessa, Thomas Scroy, Robert Shea Jr., Firefighter Stephen Gerard Siller, Paul J. Simon, Marianne Simone, Joanne Smith Tabik, Sushil Solanki, Thomas Sporaccio, and my sister Rosemary Ann Smith. It's hard to believe that 18 years have passed. I often heard it said that time heals all wounds. So how come there is still a gaping hole in our hearts? Rest in peace, dear sister.
Good evening. Frank J. Spinelli, Michael F. Stabile, Richard J. Stadelberger, Anthony Starita, Firefighter Jeffrey Stark, Alexander Robbins Steinman, Larry Sumaya, Harry Tabak, John Talignani, Morita Tan, Firefighter Alan Tarasowitz, Darrell Taylor, Anthony Tempesta, and my dear beloved cousin, Kenneth W. Van Auken, my evil genius partner in crime as children and especially into our teen and adult years. And that's another story. I'd just like to say that I think all of us who are gathered here, I know I'm meeting with the same family members every year, and most of you are here the same every year. There's a bond that we'd all rather not share this kind of bond, but since we do, please know that you're just being here. It is a comfort. God bless you, and God bless America.
Firefighter John Patrick Tierney, Lisa L. Charatola, Jennifer Lynn Zemis, Azel Vasquez, Francine Zizi Virgilio, Joseph Gerard Viciano, Lieutenant Jeffrey P. Walls, FDNY, Kenneth W. White, Firefighter Mark P. Whitford, Patrick Woods, Captain David T. Woolley, FDNY, Myrna Yaskulka, Olabisi Layeni Yi, Jacqueline Young, Edwin J. Zambrana Jr., and my grandmother, Barbara Walsh. Grandma, it's crazy how fast time flies. Although I never got to meet you, I know you. I often wonder if Mom sees you in me. I'm here today to represent Generation 912, those who never experienced 9/11, but still suffer the aftermath of it. We will never, ever forget what happened on this day 18 years ago. Keep sending us rainbows, Grandma. We love and miss you terribly.
Let us all bow our heads for a moment of silence, for remembrance and reflection. Thank you. We now invite the PS-29 chorus under the direction of Principal Christine Zapata and teacher Brian Stevens to sing American Tears. Thank you, students. Beautifully done. Now we would like to invite the family and friends of our first responders to begin the tribute readings of those we have lost since 9/11.
Detective Sandra Adrian, NYPD. Chief of Detectives William H. Ali, NYPD. Sergeant Alex W. Baez, NYPD. Jack Bicaccio. Firefighter Philip J. Berger. Lieutenant Ronald Byler, FDNY. Police Officer Frank Belusi. Anthony M. Bono. Firefighter Joseph T. Callahan. Brian Campbell. Captain Carmine C. Cantalino, NYPD. Firefighter Carl Capo Bianco. Francis X. Carrozza. Detective Joseph A. Cavatolo, NYPD. Ronald Cohen. John Joseph Conme Sr. Thomas Capola II. John Corbett. Detective Angel A. Krieg, NYPD. Richard Danino. And my father, Firefighter Frank D. Fontano, Engine Company 155. Pop, we miss you. We know you're with Mommy watching over us. You'd be very proud of your grandchildren. Never forget, heaven's got one hell of a fire department.
Diane Giacomo, Firefighter Robert W. Dillon, Lieutenant Brian J. Elcott, FDNY, Alphonse Filaco, Ted Feezer, EMT Anthony Fiacara, Detective Carmen M. Figueroa, Firefighter Robert A. Ford, Firefighter George F. Felich, Lieutenant Martin Fulham, FDNY, Detective Michael E. Glazer, NYPD, Captain Joseph R. Graziano, FDNY, Deputy Chief William J. Guido, FDNY, Paramedic Mark A. Harris, Firefighter Raymond W. Haber, Firefighter Dennis J. Heedles, Lieutenant Robert M. Heese, FDNY, Firefighter James M. Hicks, Eugene P. Hurricane, NYPD, Sergeant Michael V. Incontrera, NYPD, my dad and best friend Christopher A. King.
Police Officer Kelly C. Korchak. Joseph Landolfi. Lieutenant Keith Laughlin, FDNY. Firefighter Brian Malloy. Firefighter Richard A. Mineta. Firefighter James J. Marshall. Firefighter Jimmy Martinez. Firefighter Brian J. Masterson. Frederick Meyer. Chief Robert P. Miuccio, FDNY. Andrew Moore. Detective Michael Morales, NYPD. Firefighter William E. Moreau. Frederick C. Mueller. Lieutenant John P. Murray, FDNY. Sergeant Anthony Napolitano, NYPD. Firefighter William R. O'Connor. Captain William Olson, FDNY. Firefighter John F. O'Neill, and my beloved brother, Sergeant Patrick P. Murphy, NYPD.
Firefighter Adolfo Atano, Police Officer Angelo Paluzzo, Sergeant Louis R. Pioli, NYPD, Brian Padell, Lieutenant Gerald Rex, NYPD, Lieutenant Robert Rice, NYPD, Detective Ronald A. Richards, NYPD, Lieutenant John C. Rowland, NYPD, Firefighter Paul F. Santoro, John Schmittou, Sergeant Harold J. Smith, NYPD, Firefighter Roy E. Smith, Firefighter Michael Sophia, Firefighter Lawrence J. Sullivan, Firefighter Ronald P. Sveck, Sergeant Ned Thompson, NYPD, Captain Victor Valva, NYPD, William Weiser, Paramedic John W. Wyatt Jr., Stephen L. Zawada, and my father, Detective William B. Titus Jr., NYPD. I know you're always rocking out with me in every mosh pit slam dancing. We love and miss you. Thank you.
Once again, let us bow our heads for a moment of silence and reflection. Thank you. Now, may I ask you to turn your attention to the video screens, where you will see a tribute video honoring those we lost. Every one of those pictures tells a story. It's important to say thank you, and on behalf of Borough President Otto, I would like to thank the FDNY for their support of this event and for the participation of the fireboat and ringing of the tribute bell. I'd also like to thank the NYPD, the New York City EDC and its president, James Patchett, a good friend of the Borough President and our office, and the Staten Island Yankees for their continued support. And a new group, Friends of Postcards, led by Dominic DeRubio, Victoria Cerullo, and Alex Zablocki, for their volunteerism in maintaining this memorial. I'd like to thank the Tottenville High School performers, the Staten Island Pipers, the U.S. Coast Guard, the U.S. Army, and all of our tribute readers and talented performers for their contributions to this evening's ceremony. We also extend our wholehearted appreciation to Fred Ariemmer, who year after year has maintained the site and beautified it with flowers for this special evening, and to Michael Black for tonight's roses. And we also thank Kevin Mannix of ShopRite for providing ice to keep our water cold on this hot evening. Borough President Otto would like to acknowledge his staff who worked on this event, led by Renee Sarno and Jennifer Sammartino. And most of all, we thank you, each and every one of you, for being here and remembering our loved ones with us. Right now, I'd like to invite the Staten Island Pipers back to the promenade to perform Amazing Grace. This evening's benediction will be offered by Bishop Victor Brown of Mount Sinai United Christian Church and will be followed by taps, which will be presented antiphonally by Tottenville High School musicians. After the ceremony concludes, please come forward and take a rose from a member of our staff and feel free to place it by a loved one's name and image. Bishop Brown.
Thank you so much. May I ask those on the dais to please rest upon their feet for the benediction. O God, our God, the maker of heaven and earth, the giver and sustainer of life, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. It is within you we move and have our very being. We pray now your keeping power upon all who suffered human loss on September 11, 2001. We thank you for the heroism of the first responders who selflessly gave their life running towards and not away from terroristic crisis. We petition thee now to heal the hurts of the respective families who bear the eternal scars of their loved ones' senseless loss on that dreaded day. Remember those first responders who even now suffer from 9/11 related illness. May your healing hand rest upon their respective heads, and from your hand we ask for the release of healing virtue. May we all internalize the message sent to us that horrific day by the terrorists, that irrespective of race, creed, or color, it was America that was attacked. Not white America, not black America, not Asian America, but America, land of the free and home of the brave. We humbly pray now that if in this nation there is hatred, may love abound. Where there is dis-ease, may hope take up residence. Where there is despair, may optimism become the order of the day. Grant to all of us as we depart not only traveling mercies, but grant us the will and the impetus to make a profoundly positive impact wherever we go is our sincerest prayer. Amen.